Let's go. Welcome to Last Chance Q with myself, Coach JB and Sean Salisbury.
We will not talk over the amateur or under the expert.
It's not only the X's and O's, but it's about the Jimmies and Joes.
And it's not just quarterback. We got all the positions, teaching, coaching, laughing, and joking.
We're using football terminology so we can get through this faster than we don't want to use these long terms, Coach. We got quick verbiage to get to the point. Last Chance Q with the great legendary Sean Salisbury. What up, what up, what up? We're in the building. Sean Salisbury will join us here in a minute. Jeff went 5-0 yesterday on his college picks. Head on over to Jeff's Patreon. Find him today. I think he won 6 in a row last week as well on the NFL. Plus Sean King on our show as well every single week on the Coach JB show. Hit as well this past weekend. So a lot of winners right here. This show is powered by BetUS. Head on over there and use my promo code CoachJB. Get you 150% bonus up to $2,000. Jeff, what up, man? Happy Sunday, fun day. Hopefully we give these folks some hitters today.
Yeah, good morning. What's up, Coach? Yeah, looking forward to it. Always a good Sunday when we got the NFL. As you alluded to, college has been my moneymaker, but the NFL, I think finding a game or two each week is always there, and we'll go over each game here today.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, man, big shocker yesterday in college. New Mexico shocked the world and beats Washington State. I don't know if anybody picked that game, but I was really close on a few games. You know what game fucked me? And I just did it for a shits and giggles bet. And I won every other game. Mercer not covering 42.
Yeah, that was a rough one. You kind of thought maybe Alabama would take their foot off the gas, the fourth quarter, but they didn't. I wasn't that surprised with New Mexico. I played the over in that game. It got there barely, but it got there. The issue Washington State has is, in those kind of games, they're not a good defense. They're one of the worst pass defenses in the country. They allow a bunch. And look, it wasn't really the passing defense. It was Dampier just crushed them on the ground. And that's what he gives them, the ability to run and throw the football. So yeah, impressive second half by them. They outscored Washington State 24-7 in the second half. They're building a program, and they'll be ball eligible if they can win next week.
Yeah, I did win a few shockers a lot of people didn't expect. I did pick KU as my upset pick of the week. They got it done against BYU. Sean picked Wisconsin to cover 13. They almost flat out won the game. If they had a quarterback in Wisconsin, they would have won last night against Oregon, the number 1 team in America. So Sean Salisbury's here is our third wheel. So right in the middle, Sean, because I'll be your left ball, Jeff's the right, and you're the dick. What's up, man?
I've been called that before. All good, man. I just got back from Austin. My son opened his another new restaurant in Austin last night called Teddy's in Austin. It's off the charts. So just
really
got back this morning. Just pulled in a few minutes ago. So it was great to see the soft opening for family and friends last night. He's going to kill it. It's his third one. He got building for a fourth restaurant, different concept. So I'm proud of him. He's doing great.
Good. Nice. Teddy D's?
Yeah, no, there ain't no D's there. Teddy's, yeah. There ain't none of that. For the first time in 30 years, I don't know whether it was disinterest or just busy yesterday during the day. I didn't watch one play of college football. I'm dead serious, which is weird because I like college better than I do the NFL. It was just weird. I don't know what it was, misschedule or just busy, and it was in Austin. I saw a couple highlights. I didn't watch one game of college football yesterday.
You're getting disinterested like my ass is, and it's
I woke up and I watched the little countdown. I'm like, okay, and I went into my day, and before you know it, it was time 6:45, time to go to dinner. I didn't see a play of the Georgia-Tennessee. I didn't see any of it, and it's not like I'm wearing it as a badge of honor, but I didn't miss it yesterday, which was odd to me because I love college football. Yesterday was just the first time in 30-plus years I haven't watched some kind of college football on a Saturday.
Hey, I try to get on the boat. Jeff covers it. He hit 5-0 last night on his Patreon yesterday. And there's a couple games, Sean, we were just discussing. New Mexico shocked the world, beat Wazoo. KU upset BYU, which was one of our picks. And then Arizona State went into Manhattan and beat Kansas State team pretty handily. They were up big in halftime. And then that Tennessee game, Nico just didn't look very good.
Well,
and then Georgia scored more points than you would expect on a great defense that we all thought was great in Tennessee. Jeff, go ahead on that one.
Yeah, Tennessee really just couldn't get stops in the secondary, man. I mean, Carson Beck looks a lot better. Those receivers are making plays. Tennessee needed to win and they couldn't do it. Nico didn't look like the same. It hasn't looked like the same quarterback. As far as Kansas, I think, people in the gambling community kind of had seen BYU circling the drain for a while. They were going to lose eventually, and they did last night. It was a low-scoring game, which I didn't figure, but Kansas had been playing better. They're starting to get the offense going a little bit more.
They might be back, Jeff. They might be back.
Yeah. No, look, and that's what they're going to do. Leopold's a great coach, and look, I'm just going to say it. It's kind of an interesting kind of detour from where I started the season, but Coach, back on September 30th, I saw something. I had a vision, and it was maybe your producer. He maybe I've seen the vision. He became a fan of Colorado, and I thought, all right, well, let me look deeper into this team. And I didn't see it at first. I didn't see it with Matt McChesney at first. I didn't see it with this program. But, Coach, at that time, I took Colorado at 250 to 1. Okay, I bet it for $200. It would pay out 50 G's. Colorado to win the college football playoff. They're down to 40 to 1, and they're on the precipice of winning the Big 12. Colorado is back.
I think KU's rolling, and KU's going to beat them.
Well, listen, I hope you're wrong, but I'll take the value. Got a great price there, 250 to 1.
I saw you.
What do you guys think the biggest difference for Colorado's uprising? We know Hunter can play. We know that Sanders can rip it. They've gotten more physical, in my opinion. Now, that's maybe not be Georgia physical type, but they're gotten more physical, and they still the offensive line still gives up sacks. They've gotten a tad better up front, but their defense is played pretty good football too, man. It's been impressive to watch. And I think their coaching staff finally I think Deion's got the guys he wants in place. They're a pretty dangerous team. I don't think they're going to win the national title, but I'll tell you what, the way they're playing, they're making it sure interesting to see how that Big 12 and the rest go. That's for sure.
I'm really interested to see them play, kind of step up and play. I hope they get to the playoff because I'd love to see them play, top 10.
They beat nobody because they beat nobody, right? I mean, let's be honest.
But you have to understand that no one's really beaten anybody. This is not a good year as far as great teams. There's not a lot of great teams, but I disagree with you guys considerably. I could watch college football all day. I wish it was on every day. I think it's better than this product we're about to talk about.
That's what I said. I'm 100% more college than NFL. There is no doubt.
I agree.
It was just a weird day, going to see my son. I got caught. I haven't in 30 plus years. I haven't missed. I mean, I only saw like 5 plays on highlight. It's been that long since I've missed a college football Saturday. Yet at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I'll catch them next week. So normally I wouldn't say that. I got to spend 3 hours or 4 hours if I'm watching this game. But there's no doubt. I love college football and the college hoops that's about to ensue here soon as well.
Sean,
and we get into the flow of it.
To answer your question, I think, like my co-host says every day, 2 things can be true. Colorado's defensive line and defense, I think, is their biggest improvement. No question about it.
Right.
Their defense is legit. Their DC's, been in the NFL. He understands it. I think the defense is by far best. Sapp and the D-line coaches have got them playing. You can see they're animate on the sideline. They're coaching. I love to see all the things that I see there. But 2 things can be true, like Big Smitty said. The league that we thought was going to be way better has just been so bad. And Colorado has really benefited from a team like a Utah who's just absolutely riddled like the Rams in the NFL. No QB play whatsoever. And they actually scored some points last night on Colorado, which you didn't think they would with no quarterback. And I just think the teams that we thought were going to be much better just aren't very good, Sean. And it's been a great season for Colorado to hit that and just happen to be on the other
Utah, Southern Cal, Georgia. No offense, but Carson Beck. I know they've won and stuff, but they are not. This isn't as good a Georgia football team as they've had in the past. Alabama's team's been down. I mean, Texas, while ranked, Texas has had some struggles. I mean, they had to fight through yesterday's game against Arkansas.
What's interesting with this Colorado team is I think we do have to point out last year they played a lot of really, really tough defensive lines, whether it's Oregon, Utah, UCLA had a tough defensive line. They go to a league where, the defensive lines aren't as strong. They're still giving up a bunch of sacks. They're 123rd in sacks allowed per game.
That's the quarterback, though, Jeff. That's the QB, though.
Yeah, but again, I'm just saying that, last year at times, Shadur Sanders was getting sacked 5, 6, 7 times a game. These defensive lines in the Big 12 aren't good. And you look at Colorado, 6th nationally in sacks per game. They're getting to those Big 12 quarterbacks. We know that's not a great defensive league. Look, let's just be honest. This isn't the best Big 12 we've seen. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma are gone, and the teams that replaced them aren't great. So, but you got to give Colorado credit. They're scoring a lot of points, and they're winning games that they weren't.
This is the best. This isn't the best Big 12. This isn't the best SEC. This isn't the best ACC or Big 10 that I've seen.
Pac-12's gone.
No Pac-12. So I think college football, while competitive, and I like the playoffs, I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't. To me, there's no team that you say. I see, even with Oregon, as good as they are, I can't call them the clear-cut best team, because they run into a team and turn the ball over twice. They can get beat, but they deserve one. Don't misunderstand me. They can go win it. Their quarterback's really good. I'm so impressed with Dan Lanning as well. But I mean, they're a really, really, really good team. Are they a great team? Like, I wouldn't consider them a great team, but I think they're really.
If Wisconsin has a QB, Oregon has a loss today.
Yeah, and in that game, and they pushed him to the brink. Let me give one before we move on, guys. A quarterback that I've trained for 3 years, undersized, played quarterback at Katy High School, won a state championship, about 6 foot, 180 pounds, won a state championship, came close to winning another one, played great at Katy High School, and everybody's familiar with Katy High School. It's one of the 5 best, or 10 best programs in the country, and was under-recruited. We worked hard, and I told people all along, and his dad, I said, the kid can play. He's a winner. He can throw it. They run it a lot at Katy High School, which I understand. Coach Joseph's been doing it for years. But if they'd have thrown more, he'd probably been more exposed to more college recruiting. But in this day and age, you can go somewhere and move on. But he got a start yesterday. He came in late last week because 2 quarterbacks got hurt. He starts for Central Arkansas now. He's a freshman, redshirt freshman who was on a preferred walk-on. And if they don't, that scholarship's got to be coming. I'm sure. His dad played quarterback in the past, and I've been able to train him. His dad's one of my very good friends and his family, and I know they had a tear-jerking day yesterday. Guy threw for 333 and 4 touchdowns. Started the game 12 or 13 of 13. They got beat like 38, 31, but I couldn't be more proud of him, because it goes to show you don't have to be 6'3", 220 to be a good player, and he's a winner. And he gets it, and his football IQ and his mechanics are through the roof. We grinded, and for me, it's my football like this year in 2024, whether it's the off season or this, it's like a proud moment for their fan. For me to watch him and emotional when people told him, you're undersized, you can't play. Well, kid gets his first set of reps and goes out there and unloads throwing the football, and I'm proud of you. Caleb Koger, you did Katie right, you did the Koger family right. And all of us are proud of your performance. Keep it up. It was a phenomenal day. And I got guys around college football, but this was a very important moment, because 5 to 6 foot walk-ons don't get much opportunity, and he deserved a better opportunity. He was under-recruited and should have been more recruited, because the guy can win, and just goes to show you don't need the specimen always to be a successful player. And he's put together, can move, great footwork. Central Arkansas has got themselves a good quarterback and a winner, so I'm proud of him. Big day for him yesterday. So
real quick, just to finish off of college on that sentiment, smaller school, we have talked about the inability of teams to find good quarterbacks at the college level. He will not be coming out this year, but a guy in the future to keep an eye on. He's got a name you all know. This kid, Owen McCown at Texas San Antonio, he can throw the football, man. He has come in and played really well for a team that's not great. He's thrown for almost 3,000 yards, only has 5 interceptions. He was at Colorado at one point, didn't really get any run there, and transferred. Father was a quarterback for years. Family was in the league. He's only a sophomore, but he's going to put up big numbers next year if he stays in this system under Jeff Traylor. Maybe he goes somewhere else, but the kid can sling it, man.
Traylor's a good football coach, and
Yeah.
Is that Josh or Luke's son?
Josh's.
Yeah, Josh. And Josh is obviously quarterback coach in the league right now, and his brother Luke played as well. So it's the McCown family, talented, good people. So
Hey,
I love seeing these stories. I love seeing these stories about kids.
Hey, before we'll get to the NFL right now. I got to ask you both though something real interesting because the college football playoff, which I think is addition by subtraction. I know I don't like it. I don't like addition by subtraction. But here's the thing, because more is not always better, as we know, Sean and Jeff, except in the bedroom, which all my females say it's great. But Sean, let me ask you something.
Unfortunately, they don't get it from you very often, do they? The great stuff. No.
Let me ask you both something. The strength of schedule has been taken out of play, Jeff, when it comes to this whole 12-team playoff thing. And to me, they did not forward think when they picked this thing. And they're already trying to go from 12 to 14, and they haven't even seen the 12 go through yet, the process. I'm trying to tell you, man, Georgia is being screwed at the end of the day again, in my opinion. They have the number one hardest schedule in America. They play in the SEC, which we just said the whole country's probably watered down, but we'd still argue the SEC is the best conference. And they have the number 3 ranked opponent's strength of schedule per win. They beat Texas at home, at Texas. And if they end up getting snubbed, they'll be the only team in America who has beat the ACC champ if Clemson wins and the SEC champ in Texas. And they will be left out. This is a huge travesty in year one already when we're going to sit here and talk about the 12-team playoff when they don't use strength of schedule.
Well, they're not going to get left out.
Yeah,
They'll get left out right now.
No, they're not. They're not going to lose the rest of the season. They're the third favorite to win it.
You gonna take 5 out of the SEC in this thing?
Yes.
I mean, I hope so, but I don't think so.
And if Carson Beck just plays good football, that team's going to be in every game. When he doesn't play good football, It affects everything. Real quick, I just don't understand, JB, as far as why we can't fix it. Why do we have to have conference champions now?
I don't get it.
Why can't you just – conference champions, fine. But why do we – a team's going to win a conference. It's going to be worse than a team that may not get in depending on the conference.
You can't have it done right.
What do we do in the Big Ten and in conferences now? We don't.
Well, you added 18 leagues.
Right.
Sean,
remember the Pac-12? But my point is that if it's 12, why can't you take the committee? We pick them all year long. Why can't you take the top 12 teams in America and play? I don't understand.
I don't either.
Why. Well, I don't understand why. Oh, we got to have this and then a smaller school conference.
And then there's Notre Dame's an outlier because they don't have a league, and they'll be the 5th seed. It's all shit, man.
I don't know why you just we keep going on, and at the end of the year, we pick the 12 best teams in the country. And if that happens to be 5 from one conference, 3 from one conference, 3 from one,
it's 8 from the
12 best. We're looking for the 12 best, and really, when all is said and done, we may not get the 12 best. I don't mind more teams, but I just don't understand why we make it so just pick the 12 best teams. They do it. So what's crazy is we do it all year long, and then we get to the end, and we got to take do what you've been doing all year. Pick
and you got a committee. You got a committee, John. And you got a committee that has no fucking idea what they're doing. Condoleezza Rice and this fucking Santa Claus with a bag, like Sean says, when they're coaching, they pulling shit out of the bag and throwing at the wall. Fucking Mina Kimes, all these fucking idiots that never played or coached are picking teams' futures. And at the end of the deal, after you just said they've ranked them all year long, 1 through 12, and then all of a sudden at the end, now the number 12 seed will become out, and the 10 will be out because the strength.
But let me ask you. But let me ask you. What do you want then? Because you probably hated the BCS, then you hated the 4 teams.
I actually like 4 teams. I like 4 teams. I never bitched about 4 teams. I never wanted more. 4 teams was the cream of the crop, Jeff.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Indiana.
No, just not to cut you off. Before last year, the Florida State whole debate that they got hurt with the quarterback and they got left out. There really hasn't been any controversial 5th team that should have been in. Like, let's be honest. Let's go back the last 10 years. They got it right in the 4. And last year, you can argue the Florida State was left out in the Kirk Herbstreit thing and all that shit. But they didn't have a quarterback. I don't believe they should have got in. And guess what's happened since? Look at what's happened to that program. I just really don't think so. Here's my point real quick, Jeff, before you go. Penn State can go unscathed the rest of the year, and they will not have to play Indiana. They got beat by the only good team they had to play this year, and they beat nobody. They have absolutely beat nobody. They beat a horrible SEC team.
Yeah, but again, like I'm so tired of hearing this. You beat
But Jeff, they're going to get in the playoff is my point. They shouldn't be ranked above fucking any of those teams.
Yeah. But again, they don't schedule their game. Like someone else does that. They don't do that.
I get it.
Right. And I've heard that comment made about everyone. No one plays anybody. There's not a lot of great teams, right? Georgia's in. They're not going to be left out, right? They beat Tennessee last night. They're back in. Indiana's going to lose on Saturday. They're out. SMU will lose. They're going to be out. I mean, Clemson's the only, and Miami. Those are the two teams they get to worry about. But we got to get into NFL, Coach.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't wait to see this thing unfold, man. It's going to be interesting, Jeff. Sean, we'll have to do it. We'll have to do a college show one time once they pick this committee because I'm interested to see how this goes. I just don't think they forward thought this out really well because you got 18-team leagues and BYU, Colorado, and Iowa State and teams like that were undefeated. Where are they going to play each other? And that's just crazy to me. But anyway, this slate right here brought to you by BetUS on the Realest NFL pregame show on the internet starts right here with the Packers-Bears in the North, a division that is very tight before the Bears went on this skid with Caleb Williams. Hey, it's over-under 40.5. 40.5, and the Packers are -6. Where you guys at with this one to start the show off?
Well, look, this Bears team, it's hard to back them right now, right? I mean, they have major offensive issues. Last time they scored a touchdown, I believe, was 3 games ago, 2-3 games ago. Fired their offensive coordinator. The offensive line's a mess. But, you know, what's interesting, we saw this coming, okay? You get all these new pieces. You got a quarterback, but you don't address the offensive line. This is a group with injuries. They've not played real well. I don't think a offensive coordinator change is just going to change that. They'll be better. They'll score some touchdowns today. But the Packers are off a bye. The Packers are a team that can run the football because the Bears can't stop anybody on the ground. One of the worst rushing defenses in the league. This is a bad Bears team. That's just the truth. They have a rookie quarterback. This is a divisional game, and I don't love generally laying these type of points in divisional games, particularly with a road favorite. But I have a hard time not playing Green Bay here off a bye. Green Bay's played well. Jordan Love's another week healthier, and they have a pretty good matchup here against a team that has struggled on both sides of the football. I lean with the Bears laying the 6.
Sean, before you go, Sean, can you address the fact that I don't know if you've ever seen it. I haven't. Have you ever seen an OC change week 11? I've seen head coaching changes. OC from outside coming in and changing the offense, or
usually they're in the building, right? If something happens, I mean,
how can the Bears be better today, Sean? I got to ask.
They're just going to have to make a couple out of their ass plays. The Packers are going to win the game, and as much as I think the Bears, with the right coaching and getting some more players, they're just outmanned right now, and they aren't well coached. And I got news for you: you got rid of your coordinator. If it doesn't get better, the Eberflus will be gone too here shortly. So when the season's over, but you know what's crazy? We are at 3 offensive coordinators that have either been demoted or fired already this year during the season. I mean, you know, in New York, Hackett got demoted, and then they fired at the Raiders. They got rid of Getsy, and then they get rid of the coordinator in Chicago. So, yeah, man, it's crazy, and it may not be done if some of these teams don't pick it up. I actually think the Green Bay Packers, if they take care of their business and stay healthy these last handful of what do we got, 7 games to go or so. I think the Green Bay Packers, they get in the playoffs because they've got a good quarterback and they run the ball effectively. I actually think they can make a little headway in the NFC in the playoffs. I do. I think they're good enough to.
Just want to throw this out there if you're curious about this game. Now, I only go back 10 games as far as between teams. Packers have won 10 straight in this series, okay? They've covered the spread in every one, and they've won every game by 7 or more points. They have completely owned the Chicago Bears. And I agree with Sean. I mean, if you're going to get rid of the OC, Waldron, I mean, Eberflus can't be far behind. I mean, he is a fraud. He is a guy who really is just a coordinator in this league. We see these guys who are coordinators. They have a good season or two, and we hire them. This is not John Gannon or Shane Steichen. This is not a guy who should lead a team to me. He needs to go back to be a defensive coordinator. That said, his defense isn't very good here. This is a very good spot. I think we all agree. Packers -6.
Yeah, I got a 1-minute rant real quick. When are we going to start blaming the fucking quarterback and start blaming the fucking organization as a whole, not only just the head coach? The head coach didn't say beg it and say, hey, force me to hire you. No, the organization picked this guy. They got rid of another guy. They got rid of a guy before that. You had a quarterback who was entering year 4 with no weapons and no O-line in Justin Fields, who actually got better. They won, I think, 4 out of the last 5 last year. And you got rid of him. And then you get weapons. And then you go get a rookie QB and you fucking start all over again. And now we're blaming the fucking coach again and the organization. When are we going to blame the quarterback, the development from high school to college, and now in the NFL, you see the lack thereof, and now we still don't blame the fucking quarterback?
Well, I'll tell you why, because he's a rookie and he's in his first year. If this was his 3rd or 4th year, I would understand. And listen, he has not played well. But here's the problem, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news to the Bears fans because they already knew this. They're smart people. Caleb Williams is being sacked 11.2% of his dropbacks. That is 2nd worst in the league. That is terrible. The only team worse is Cleveland, and they've had offensive line injuries. You can't be a successful quarterback when you have nobody blocking up front. And look, he has to play better, but he'll get off because he's a rookie and he's the number 1 pick. And in 3 years, then we'll have to revisit that.
Yeah, and JB, I think it is the rookie thing because he's shown some flashes of being a spectacular playmaker. Obviously on Saturday he did, but on Sunday. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done with him mechanically from the pocket, being not just a playmaking off-schedule guy who hopefully can beat you in the pocket. You have to flip that script. You have to be a guy who can crush you from the pocket and then buy time and beat you on the edge with off-schedule type plays, off-platform plays. He's got a long ways to go, but there is ability. And so I think the temptation is you're not going to go after a rookie quarterback as hard, right? But think about it. Prescott, Carr, Cousins in his past. Hell, they still criticize Brock Purdy, and he's earned some of that this year and play. I mean, Rodgers is getting some more criticism. Russ Wilson was getting crucified at the end of, criticizing Seattle. Those veterans that have been there a while. So they really are. I mean, I think they do. We know, look at Darnold's finally getting respect after career, but he did not play well. Though I think rookies were given hall passes too, for the most part. But if this was year 3, I think it'd be different, JB. I think you'd hear the things, what did the Bears do and the rest of it. But let's make no mistake. I always look at my coaches, 2 things you got to do. You got to put my players in the best position to be successful, and you have to have buy-in. And in Chicago right now, I'm not sure they have either. The fans, I think they can be good. There's some things to do, but there's going to be wholesale changes in that organization. And Bears fans who are pretty damn good probably deserve a little bit better than this.
Yeah, I just think they're a shit organization, and they should have kept Fields.
Well, they also have a bad owner. I mean, that 95-year-old woman that owns the team. I mean, that's a rough situation. That McChesney woman, that she's. I mean, I feel like it's passed her by. That organization deserves better. Those fans.
No doubt.
Let's get. Okay, fine. Okay, I was just making sure my mic's right. Let's get to the next one real quick, guys. This morning slate, and that's the Browns Saints. The Saints, we all picked to beat the Falcons, or the Falcons to beat the Saints last week. The Saints go out there and win, and Atlanta shit the bed. This is over under 44 today against a 2-7 Browns, a 3-7 Saints. Where you at with this one? It's a -1.5 for Cleveland. This one's a pick'em game for me. I would stay away from it myself. I just don't understand. I don't know what to expect from Jameis Winston, and I don't know what to expect from Derek Carr. So where are you guys at with this one?
Well, listen, I've said for weeks that I think I bet Cleveland a few times. I think Cleveland's the best 2-7 team we have in the NFL, and we'll see. With Jameis Winston, they're a better football team. But here's the issue, and we know this about Jameis. It comes down to turnovers. If he doesn't turn the football over, they can go out and beat the Ravens. If he does turn the football over, they'll lose to the Chargers and won't move the football. But today, I'm going to plead with Kevin Stefanski, who, by the way, is 3-1 off a bye in his career, in his short career as a coach. I'm going to continue to lean on Mr. Stefanski. Please run the football. You have Nick Chubb. This is the 2nd worst rush defense in the NFL. The Saints can't stop me, Sean, and Jason Brown as running backs. They're not going to stop Nick Chubb. Hand in the football, make things easy on Jameis. Everybody's healthy on the offensive line again. Cleveland still has a pretty good defense. They still have Myles Garrett. This is a game that opened with the Saints as a favorite at home. Cleveland's now moved to a favorite. Sharp money all over the Browns. I agree with it. I played the Browns on the money line, just winning the football game. I think they're the best 2-7 team you'll see. Give me the Browns. This is also a Saints team. Just one other thing. who is really beat up. I mean, who are they throwing the football to at this point? They traded away Marshawn Lattimore, and we saw them win last week, but we always see that with a coaching change, and then we kind of get the team back to normal. I'll fade Derek Carr. Give me the Browns with Jameis against his old team.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints. With the Browns as well. I think their physicality wins out on the defensive front, and if they run the football and put Jameis in positions to play off play action, because his emotions, you know him, guys, with all this pregame speed, he's going to be jacked up, right? He's going to, going back to New Orleans. We just need to settle him down, run the football, mix some play action, and take shots when necessary. I couldn't be less interested in this game. I could not be less interested in this game as a football fan. And I go on in New Orleans I love the Browns fans and the way that I do, and the guy I go on with every week is Matt Moscona is awesome. But I mean, this game could put your ass to sleep unless you're a Saints or Browns fan, and maybe even them. Give me the Browns to win. I'm shocked that this team's 2-7. I really am. I know injuries; they're better than that. But how often can we keep saying it? And they are a better football team throwing it with Jameis Winston, even though New Orleans isn't a home. I'd also take them. I would just take Cleveland to win the football game. I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I'm the same way. This is a fucking coin flip for me, but I would take the same way. The next one, Jeff, Rams, Patriots. This over-under is 43. That's what I'm taking today. I'm taking the over on this one. Bet US is where I've made my slip. I'll give it out later on. But I'm taking the over on this one. The Rams are -4, Jeff. The Patriots are 3-7. Rams are 4-5. We keep seeing these schedules, and these records are all similar. 2-7 Browns, 3-7 Saints, 3-7 Patriots. The league is watered down this year, man. I'm just going to be honest. It's a bad slate. Where are you at with this Rams team who's just trying to figure things out from the injury bug that's just never going to get over? I think the Rams are just kind of dead in the water looking for next year already. They're 4-5. And I just don't think they can get healthy.
Yeah, two teams that kind of went opposite ways. I think we all thought the Patriots would be pretty bad. 3-7. That was kind of self-explanatory. Drake May's been better, and I heard John Gruden state recently he's a big fan of Drake May. I'm surprised by that. I don't think anyone else have really.
I like Drake so far, man. With a team that have no weapons, he's impressed me.
Right, and again, you are getting a home game here for New England. But I think that the issue I have more with this team is that they're not very good on defense. I mean, I've seen at times them get really punked by offenses. Now, again, those were groups like Houston. I don't know if the Rams have the ability coming across country, early start to do that. This game, I kind of feel like Sean felt for the game we just previously talked about. I didn't have much on this one. I lean New England +4. I think getting them above 3 at home is a decent spot with a quarterback who's getting there, but it's a tough one. I've been burned back in the Patriots. I'm kind of lukewarm on this game. It was a pass overall.
Well, the last time we had a game that we spent time on for the most part with the Patriots was when the Jets were going there and they beat the Jets. That was the embarrassing loss the Jets had before they came back the next week and beat the Texans in the Meadowlands. They were embarrassed. They got their ass handed to them physically by New England. If this was at 3 points, it would be the 4 points make a difference for me. I think the Rams win the game, but I do think it's a field goal game. I don't think it'll be pretty. The Rams don't feel explosive enough to me, and that's a long trip. And I know we make excuses, but normally games like that are the 4:00 Eastern game, right? So this is an interesting draw. Give me an ugly win by the Rams, but in the game. But when it comes to the spread, I think this is a field goal game in favor of the Rams. And it will not shock me if we walk out of this and New England wins the football game. But if I was betting this game, which I did not, I would take the Patriots at +4.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking. This could be I actually, in a way, kind of disagree with JB's thought on the over. I don't know if these offenses are real competent. I mean, the Rams,
feel like it's a 23-16 type game.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they have the better quarterback and they have some playmakers over there, but the Rams haven't gotten a ton of separation. I'm going to bank on Gerard Mayo's defense playing well here, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, and JB, I'm with you. I think Drake May's got a chance to do some things if they'll give him players.
Yeah,
he can throw this.
I can see both these teams scoring 30 today. I can see them both scoring 30. The reason why is they're running the football at Stevenson well. He's getting better. Drake May's getting better. And if he can do that, the Rams defense has been porous to stop the run. I think the play action pass with Jake May, I think they'll hit some shots on the Rams. I think the Rams and Matthew Stafford has to get going with Nakua and Kupp. So I think both teams can score 30 today. That's the reason I'm over on this one. That's what my pick. I'm taking the over on the game. I'm not going to pick a team here. The Ravens-Steelers, the game of the day possibly, or the week. Who knows? Between this one and the Buffalo Bills and the Chiefs game we'll get to later. The Steelers and Mike Tomlin, contrary to belief, Jeff, own the Ravens. And this is a Russell Wilson-led resurgence. The offense is much better. Pickens is now getting involved. Najee Harris looks like the old Najee Harris from a couple years ago. It's kind of the same type of team playing each other, mirrored images of each other. Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, run the football, run some play action, get Lamar under center, put him in the gun, run some option. They're going to try to do this. I think the Ravens defense is actually needing the guy on the other side of the football they lost in Patrick Queen, one of my kids. I think Patrick has made Pittsburgh better. The Ravens have gotten worse. Even if Kyle Hamilton goes today, Jeff, the secondary with or without him has been horrific. So I don't think that's going to change. I actually, contrary to belief, on this game as well, because I'm not going to pick a winner. I think it's too tight of a game, but I'm taking the over. Contrary to belief, with two supposedly good defenses, I only think there's one good defense in this game, and this is the type of game the Ravens and Lamar Jackson actually show up for, and I can see this being an actual shootout in like a 30-25 type of game. So over-under is 48 on this one. The Ravens are -3, Jeff. All the shit I just said, go ahead and have it.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about, and I think we all agree Russell's playing well. We're going to learn a lot about him today because you're not going to run the football really on the Ravens. You got to throw the football. You got to go vertical on them. As JB alluded to, this is the worst pass defense in the league, and it's not close. They're actually 20 yards worse than any other team. Getting Kyle Hamilton back, which it looks like they will, that'll help a bit. But, I mean, we see time and time again, Sean, this team is in shootouts because their secondary just cannot get stops. This is a good matchup for Russell Wilson, George Pickens. You got plenty of receivers to throw the football to, tight ends. This should be a positive matchup for him. And you just can't go against trends in this game, guys. I mean, you look at this team, the Steelers, they're getting 3.5 in this game. The underdog over the last 20 games between these two teams, 18-2 against the spread. That's 90%. Those are hard trends to go against. Mike Tomlin, while I'm not a big fan of his at this stage, he is a great underdog coach because he's been doing it for so long. If I'm getting points here, give me Shirley the better defense. One other point I'll make, while Pittsburgh's defense isn't elite, it's still pretty damn good, and it's way better than Baltimore. Pittsburgh's allowing opponents 44% touchdown rates in the red zone. That's third best in the NFL. Baltimore is 20th. They're allowing a touchdown about 60% of the time. If you get into the red zone, you are likely going to score against Baltimore. I think the Steelers continue to impress. I like them here.
And what is the spread at right now?
-3.
This morning, they're up a field. Is it 3 or 2.5? 3 points, right, Jeff?
3, yeah.
3.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm different. I think Mike Tomlin, while I know Super Bowl stuff, the different quarterbacks and the way he's had to go post Ben Roethlisberger, I think he's a hell of a. I think he gets the most out of what he has during this regular. I do, and guys just seem to somehow elevate. Russell Wilson was left for dead. He comes to Pittsburgh, loses the gig for a second, comes back and gets it. And with all the criticism, I've given him criticism. I know we all have. Jeff, you a little less. You still believed in him in Denver. I just thought he wanted to be a celebrity and was thinking Hall of Fame more than he was winning game by game. Not in Seattle. I just thought there was and he and Sean Payton were not a good mix. They just weren't. Neither were he and Hackett. But he has really come back, and it feels to me like he's trying to do less, but he's playing better. When I say do less, he's not, all the raw. He just is fitting in and he made some throws down the left sideline last week. I love the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Baltimore Ravens can be crowned Super Bowl champions this year. I do. But today, 3 points in Pittsburgh, the way Pittsburgh goes about their business, it will come down when things are equal. I always say, which quarterback's going to play better? The key is, and Lamar's an MVP guy, which one of these guys will make the critical mistake as you cross the 50 today? I haven't picked Russ Wilson against a great quarterback in a minute. I'm going to take the Steelers at home. You're giving me 3 points. I'll take them as the underdog at home. I think this is one hell of a football game today. To me, it's the best one we got going. And
Keep in mind,
City and Buffalo as well.
By the way, Jeff, these are top 4 run defenses, both of them. They're in the top 4 in the run, stopping the run. So.
It's going to be hard to run the football, but
that's why it's going to come down to that quarterback making one throw or missing a throw that he needs to make, whoever that is.
Over the last 10, only one of these has been decided by more than 10, and that was in a game that didn't matter. Baltimore had their backup, Robert Griffin, in back in 2019. These games are close. They're always close. You got to grab the points here to me.
Yeah, I think you throw everything out the window when these two play, though. I mean, this division, this is the game for years and years and years. Both of these guys got one Super Bowl. They're both trying to get their second. They both feel they have a shot this year. Russell's helped them out.
This will be as close to a little old school football that we've seen, and this is as close as you'll get if you like that kind of football. Now that may mean 30 points for somebody in the air. Who the hell knows? But this will look like 80s, 90s football, 70s football at times in this game. But with Najee and Derrick Henry.
Someone in the chat saying throw stats out. No, I'm not going to throw stats out, and I can't because the Baltimore defense in the secondary is horrible. I mean, that's just the truth. They are bad week after week.
With Hamilton or without. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yet if this game, okay, let me ask you guys this. If this was single elimination in the second round of the playoffs, who are you picking?
To win the game?
Yep.
Tomlin.
In Pittsburgh? Yeah, I'm going to lean Pittsburgh. They're really tough. And what if I told you this game may come down to who can actually run the football just a little bit better? We know the passing offense
to kill the clock, to soak up some, to take away some like if you're Pittsburgh running with Najee, to use up so they limit them an extra possession or two. I love both these teams. I love the coach. I do. It will not shock me if either one of these teams is playing late in January.
By the way, one final note on this one. In 6 games against Pittsburgh in his career, Lamar Jackson, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 7 fumbles, and been sacked 20 times.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you,
Steelers have his calling card. So
it's like him. He owns Burrow. Lamar owns Burrow in this division. The Steelers own Lamar in this division. It's kind of what it is.
As a naysayer, there's only one last thing we can say about that. He's got Derrick Henry now. So that may help.
That's true.
Even if they can't run the football, Sean, they need to run the football.
Just the threat of Derrick Henry creates a lot of space.
And just hand that motherfucker the ball. Hand him the ball 30 times. If he only gets 30 yards, guess what? It opens up over the top.
It's okay. It's okay to and play. You have to respect Derrick Henry, even if you're averaging 2 yards a carry. Defensively, they have to deal with him first. Let me say this to you. At the end of most weeks, it's not the yards that matter in the run game, usually. Now, I'm not saying that as an always or never thing. At the end of this weekend, you go in and look at every single game. Look at the number of attempts of a team, the attempts in rushing the football. Russ, Russ, the football guru, Russ Baxter, years ago at at ESPN, this was a telling stat. Turnovers and all this. You go, and I'm telling you, I don't know how many teams we have on bye week. Let's say we got 12 games this week or 14, whatever it is. 80% of those teams that win this week are gonna win the rushing attempts. And people say, well, that means because they blew them out. No, most of these games will be under a touchdown.
Yep.
It's because what attempts mean to just the threat. And there's then there'll be somebody who cared. Last week there was a game. Oh, look at the Saints stats last week, the Saints and Falcons. If you just look at the stat line, you'd say there's no way the Saints won the game. Atlanta dominated the stats. They ran the ball far more. They had 20-plus plays more, and they got beat. Sometimes a play here and there. So you'll get that aberration. But you tune in on Monday or after Monday night's game with the Texans. The team that runs the ball the most, not the most yards attempts, is going to win 75 to 80% of the games most weekends. I look at that stat every friggin' week.
Yeah, we got 4 more morning games. I agree fully. You got to run the football to run play action and RPO and different things like that. So we got to get them on the edge. I expect a lot of boot naked from both of these quarterbacks. Both offensive coordinators are going to try to stretch zone, boot naked away, and get those quarterbacks on the edge with options. So it's going to be an interesting game. Chess mass. Raiders-Dolphins, another 10 in the morning game. We got 3-4 more after this to get the morning slate knocked out before the afternoon one. Raiders-Dolphins, man, these are 2 teams that are reeling. One's 2-7, one's 3-6. Dolphins beat the Rams last week. Played better defense. Their offense still couldn't get going. Tyreek Hill looks a bit hobbled. Waddle dropped the football on several occasions last game. And they got big Jonu Smith involved, the tight end for Miami, which was a surprise to many. And then they got A-Chain and Mozart, who are still very, very dangerous weapons. But let's see how they use them against a Raiders team that's just a bad football team in all aspects other than Max Crosby. This is over under 43.5. The Raiders are +8. Where are you guys at with this one? Very interesting number, Jeff.
Yeah, it is, but I think it's warranted. I think the Raiders are the worst team in the league, and they're probably going to trade away their only good player here pretty soon. Who would have thought you need a quarterback to do well in the NFL? They also have a terrible defense. It's just a bad football team. Now you got to head across to Miami. Going to be a little windy down there today. Tua and the Dolphins are back fully healthy. And we've seen, they played better, obviously, with him back. They almost beat the Bills, beat up the Rams last week, beat them by 8 on the road. Good spot back at home, I think, to address a Dolphins team that I think probably gets right here against a bad team. This is a Raider team that need to go get a quarterback, and it could be Shadur. This is a bad Raider team. Give me the Dolphins. I'll lay the 7.5. I think they win by double digits.
Yeah, this to me, and you guys know what a Raider fan I am and always have been, but I can't play the homer game. I just can't. I don't, because between the Trojans and the Raiders this year, it's been a rough football season for my two teams. I can tell you that I think the Miami Dolphins have their most explosive output of the year. I think it's going to be a curb stomp today. I think you're going to see a slant taking the distance for it. I hate it. Maybe it'll be reverse psychology and the Raiders will come through. I just think the Dolphins, we're waiting for Tua's back healthy. Every year they'll have 2 or 3 of those games where they're in the 40s. I think by halftime they could be pushing 30. I do. I think this is a mid-30s, 40-point game, like 40-13. I think I would lay those points too. I'd give you 10 and still be willing to bet you.
Hey, this 30-13, I'm going to win because I'm going to take the over in this, guys.
Yeah, I think the Miami Dolphins will have their – that's what it was. That's the Miami Dolphins offense we have seen the last few years. I think you're going to see that today.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over in this.
Too much team speed, too. Too much friggin' team speed.
Yeah, that's my bet. Jack Jones is a good former player of mine. He's a great corner for the Raiders. But
keep in mind, too, look, for as good as Crosby is, this team just does not pressure the quarterback. They get a sack about 6% of the time, super low. They're not making teams, worry about them in the defensive front. And Crosby's probably going to get traded here soon. So,
which it got to the point where it's like, let's go get assets to try and rebuild with our best football player. And he is their best football player. Real quick, JB, you know this. Tua is at his very best when he's taking that quick gun step, rocker on the quick slant where it's just punch and release, or the 3-step bang. When he's throwing on time, because he's a little physically limited, when he throws on time, he's really accurate. I think you're going to see a lot of run after the catch today. I do. I think this is a lot of yards after catch. The Dolphins in a boat race.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, Bailey, could you share the screen? My bad. To Sean's point, real quick, before we get into this game that I'm interested to hear after the 5 interception performance by Jared Goff last week, we're going to talk about this Detroit game. But to Sean's point, I want to show you what he's talking about with Tua. Go ahead, Bailey. This is last week's game against the Rams. Shout out to DV Sport for getting us this film already. This is Tua, and I want to show you what Sean's talking about real quick when he catches the football in the gun and he takes a rocker step, and they're under center here in L.A. to start that game off, but they started the game off with 7 straight passing attempts. And what Sean's saying is here, just so we're clear, this is what Sean's talking about. There's Tua. He's going to take a rocker back and throw it, and that's what he wants to do. And so you're going to see him here. That's what he wants to do on all balls, right, Sean? He wants to get that bitch out.
Yeah, and if they would have had a slant here, JB, and like a bubble slant, obviously one of your concepts. If they look at how he's looking at, this is right. This is what you got to do. The ball, it's just a quick rocker punch. Now this is a different one, but 3-step. This, if you want to beat Tua, now obviously this is a good play. But if you can do a lot of that and keep him contained, you'll do it. He wants to catch, throw, and get it out. He's really good at throwing people open when he's in rhythm. He's at his best.
Yeah, and I just don't know what team this is going to be. The reason I thought they held the Rams off balance last week is because they came out of the gate 7 consecutive passing plays. 4 of those were under center, Sean.
Right.
So when you're under center with Tua, it's a little bit different of a look.
Look at it, and look at that. Although it was incomplete, JB, run that back real quick.
You want to see it right here is the end zone.
Yeah. Just watch now. All he's doing, it was incomplete, but this is what he wants to do. Trying to throw that quick out, boom, get it out.
I just don't see a lot of arm strength.
That's why he has to throw on time. That's my point. That he has to be in rhythm to be overly successful in a game. There you go. That's exactly right.
And so we'll see if he doesn't throw that and you make him wait. Then I think the Raiders have a shot here.
And these are incomplete balls. You can see even with him throwing for the most part on time, he has got to be almost perfect rhythm for him to have. And when he is and he's accurate, he'll throw for 350. I mean, that's just him. But you make him put that ball back down and take a double clutch. Yeah. He's a different football player.
Yeah, no question. This next game, the Lions-Jags, the best team in the league right now, in my opinion, as far as getting it done. They're 8-1. I know the Chiefs are 9-0. I just think that after the 5-interception performance by Jared Goff last week and getting the win has only elevated their confidence, not hurt their confidence. They're going into a lame duck situation, and Doug Peterson, the former Jeff's former Eagles coach who won a Super Bowl and got fired, he knows what it is to be fired. I believe they lose this game, and he will be fired. The Jags are 2-8. This is a over 47.5, and it's a spread is a plus 14. I believe it's the largest spread of the season, Jeff, by any team. Where are you at with this game, and can the Jags stay within that striking distance?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this one, but it kind of has the feel to me, JB, of that Lion-Titan game a couple of weeks ago where, I kind of try to make a case for the Titans. Oh, they can hang around. They could stay within 2 touchdowns. And then, the Lions do what they do, put up a big number. Keep in mind, this group on the Lions have scored 28 or more points 5 times this season. Their offense is terrific. And as you alluded to, they can win even if Jared Goff doesn't play well. Jared Goff's also elite, indoors, 30-10 in his career against the spread indoors. That's hard to go against. That said, Jacksonville has played hard, man.
Aren't they supposed to, Jeff? You know what? No offense. You're so good at this. You are.
Yeah, I'm just making a case of
like such a fucking coach take. You and I both know that. To play hard. What the fuck am I? Who doesn't play hard?
No, I didn't mean it that way.
I know you didn't. No. I know what you meant. Yeah. And it just leads me to my little rant is that
why aren't they all playing hard?
Yeah, you get paid, play hard. It should be playing smarter, playing wiser, playing better. I know what you meant, Jeff. They're hanging around, right? Which isn't necessarily playing hard. They're in some games. But when I hear a coach say, well, we got our ass kicked by 30, but we played hard, man, I don't want to fucking hear that shit. You're supposed to play hard. Oh, the construction worker. Yeah, I went to work today. I didn't play that hard. I only hammered down half the roof today as a roofer because you know what? I just didn't have it in me today. We were close, though. I got close to in my 8-hour finish, a little OT. But, I'll catch that tomorrow morning. Right. I know what you meant, Jeff, but it just led me to something that's always in my craw. Hearing a guy, yeah, we lost by 40, but I'll tell you, my kids played hard. Fuck, you're playing hard. They're supposed to play hard.
That's the new fucking mediocre is the new fucking
that is, I'm willing to accept your C- performance by your A effort. You're supposed to give an A effort, whether you're 7 or 70.
Hey, Jeff says that all the time. Jeff, you say it all the time. You call out Sirianni all the time. They keep winning the games, but it's like, fuck, man. You want to see this excellence take over.
But Jeff, you meant they hang around.
And that's
close, right?
And what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't care if they win. Like, they just need to stay within 2 touchdowns. And
this is a betting show, right?
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, like, they were right in the game last week against Minnesota. They probably could have beat the Eagles. They were going in to win the game. They hung around with the Packers. They're not a good team, right? But they don't get blown out a lot. They've only been blown out once or twice this season in 11 or 12 games. So,
hey, Jeff, you were saying that you were going back and forth on this game. Go back to that. You were saying what?
Yeah, it's hard because Detroit is just so good. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to play the side. I'm not going to play the total. One thing I do know is Detroit's going to move the ball against the Jacksonville defense. It's not good. We know that. They're giving up over 26 points a game. This is the league's or among the league's best offenses. I think the Lions get into the 30s. It's a question of can the Jags bring up the rear and score 17 to 21 points. Here's one thing we do know. If Jacksonville get blown out today, you have to wonder, they're on a bye week next week. Do they finally axe Doug Peterson? We'll see.
Yeah, I got Detroit 6 ways to Sunday and twice on Sunday. Jacksonville, and you're right, Jeff, they do. They bore you. They hang around enough to bore you, to tease you and then lose in the end. I just don't. As watching the Texans and the Detroit last week, you guys did, but talking about it and all week long and reliving it. The Detroit Lions, now you may not be able to do that against Baltimore in a Super Bowl, turn it over 5 times by your quarterback, still win a football game. But they are just that and then at the end, they ran the ball down the Texans. So in the fourth quarter, they brought that 2-headed monster and great team speed to the edge. I just think with Dan Campbell, I'm telling you, we as know their offensive coordinator is so good. Even and what happened to Aaron Glenn last week, they won the game. The defense hung around and did their thing, but their first half was awful. And as an offensive staff, even though you won, that's a bittersweet win. You're fortunate you won. You go into it. But when you go back and watch tape the next day, you're like, man, we won. We were fortunate, but we were horse shit in a lot of that game. That's how Detroit, Dan Campbell, and that's how you have to think, because they did not play good football. And the Texans had their first half, which you said they can beat anybody. And then they completely went haywire in the second half. You'll take the win. But even in wins, guys are they'll be critical of their football team this week. That's not the way Detroit wants to play. I don't see how Detroit doesn't go out and play a more complete game this week. He ain't throwing 5 picks. Hell, the ball may not hit the ground for first 25 throws with Goff today.
And this over-under might be telling us something here. I saw someone mentioned it. It opened 50. It's down to 47.5, which may tell us that Jacksonville is going to, be down big and just quit. That's what we may see in this one. This game might be 31-7.
37-10. Yeah, that time. And you know this, Jeff, with your history in gambling, do it. With this kind of spread, when it's this high, I usually take the over. And when it's a real low point,
sure.
And when it's a really low under, like if it's 34 points, it'll be around the number, around 30. They know these guys they do this for a living. Mm-hmm. So when it's this big a spread and it's not moving, at least now the total points, they're not worried about Detroit scoring, especially after last week. They know Detroit's going to be – their practice this week was probably dialed in. Jacksonville's not explosive enough. Detroit indoors at home after Goff's performance last week, who still wants to stay in the MVP race too, and Big Ben's he wants he's going to be a head coach when this is all over. I mean, they are – the Detroit Lions, to me, they'll look like a Super Bowl team today.
Hey, Jeff, by the way,
I don't think it's close.
You got a guy that threw 5 picks last week. They're concentrated on that with the OC there and Ben Johnson. Jacksonville's third from last in pass defense. I expect this to be a bombs over Baghdad.
You guys want to have a side bet and say that the Lions have 28 points or more by halftime?
Well, and that's and that's where I went in this game. I think the team total is a great play. I mean, I don't know if they'll get it by halftime, but I would love it if they had 28 or more by halftime. They're going to put up a big number. They usually do. And again, it kind of is reminiscent to me of that Titan-Lion game 3 or 4 weeks ago. Kind of seems like that.
Yeah, let's get to the next 2 morning games. The next one's another one, Vikings-Titans. Very similar matchup to Jags and Lions. We got the Vikings 7-2, won 3 in a row after losing 2 in a row against a Titan team that just can't get out of their own way. It's going to be interesting. This is over under 40, and the spread is interesting to me, though. Vikings -6, Jeff. I'm taking the Vikings on a money line on this one, and I'm also taking the over 40 points shot.
Little parlayer there for you, a little 2-team parlay possibly for you there, JB.
I got a little 5
or a 2-play parlay with the over and the and the spread. I like it.
I might do that.
Good. Might be a little fun one. Jeff, what's up with you in this one, man?
Yeah,
I know you still. The Titans are one of your. You can't get away from them just yet.
No, but I don't think I'm gonna bet them here because I'm not really getting much of a benefit to bet on them. I'm not getting 7 or 8 or 9. I'm getting 6. I have to assume that they're going to hang within a field goal. And the truth is, when the rubber meets the road, this team has failed to play well really at any level. That said, I'm not into this Viking team. I think they were kind of a bit of a paper tiger.
Why? Still at 7, you still don't. I mean, maybe.
Well,
not
they are. I mean, they haven't.
But what do you don't like? I mean, you said they don't play anybody. When JB said that about college, you're like, well here. No, I'm not going to say they haven't played anybody. That's not my point. They won a couple games, right, against good teams.
Right. My point was they started out, super overvalued, and since then, over the last 4 or 5. Keep in mind, this is 2 straight road games for them. 3 of the last 4 have been on the road, and they haven't really looked good at any point over the last 4 or 5 games. Darnold's throwing interceptions. I go back to that game against the Jets in London. That's when we really started to see Darnold fall off a little bit. And ever since then, they just really haven't looked good at any point. They haven't blown anybody out. Every game's close. And now you got to go on the road yet again and play a team that, are you really going to get up to play? I know every game in the NFL is a game you get up for, but 6 is a lot, especially with a Viking team that's turning the ball over a lot. I'm just saying, I thought at 5-0, they were a little bit fraudulent. And I think we can see they're not a real great team in the NFL that we're worried about. They'll make the playoffs and maybe win a game, but that's it.
I'm going to take I've seen enough of Tennessee this year to know that we all have that I have a hard time picking them in any week with the way they're what do they do great right now? Not a lot, right? And they just don't, and they're not as talented as some of the teams, but they are a team that'll hang around. But road 6-point favorite against a team like Jet that I don't want to say they've floundered around, they've kind of struggled to get to 7. I mean, they haven't been as pretty as they were the first month of the season. But I just think that at some point in time, Jefferson's going to have another bust-out dominant game. They can run the football, and their offensive line's pretty good. Decent enough. So, and look, they may fly around in that secondary too. They'll hit you too. And so the Vikings, while I don't think they're a Super Bowl threat. I do think they're a team that could be, give you a playoff win. But at some point, Darnold's got to get back to not throwing a red zone interception. I think he will, because his job, a bigger contract for his future's here, right, guys? Because remember, McCarthy's coming back next year. Whether it's in Minnesota or somewhere else, Sam's gotten better. And I love his arm. I love his arm talent. I think that the Vikings, it may be close, but if I had a bet, and I would take the Vikings on the money line, like you said, JB, to win the game. But if you said, Sean, you got to bet it with the points, I would actually take those and think the Vikings. I'd give those points away. Think the Vikings can win by a touchdown or more.
I'll just challenge anyone, including you guys, to find me over the last 5 weeks where you have been impressed with what the Minnesota Vikings have done.
For 60 minutes, it's been a minute. It's been a month.
The last week
at some
was
point,
pathetic.
don't they have to, Jeff? Don't they have to at some point explode offensively again?
Sure, it could be today.
Think, right? Yeah.
Here's the issue. I think
it's a tough one to pick.
I think we're too critical of him. First of all, we bashed Sam Darnold his whole career. He finally gets in a competent system. He goes and wins 5 in a row to start the season. And then he has a stretch of 2 games in 6 days, fellas. And they lost those games to 2 good fucking football teams. And now they've won 3 in a row again. I think we need to pump our brakes. I think it's still a good team.
I do too, JB.
They got a great run defense. They get Aaron Jones going on offense. They got the best fucking receiver in football. And I think they're still going to be a formidable opponent.
And the tight end's pretty damn good. And they do protect the. What is it? Darisaw, right? He got hurt a month ago.
They got
a
guy.
They went right. They've had to move around and get themselves, and the offensive line a little solid. And Sam, when he's throwing in rhythm, another guy we mentioned too. He's more obviously talented with his arm, but when he's going, you'll see the kind. If he gets off to a 7 for 8, 8 for 9 start, it'd be impressive. I'm not quitting on that. I think the Vikings are.
Hey, JB.
I just don't know if they're in the 4 or 5 elite guys right now.
I get what Jeff's saying about the spread.
It hasn't looked as pretty as well.
Yeah, he's talking about the betting. I get that.
And listen, I've also, my prognostications are always pretty good long term. I will make this clear. The Minnesota Vikings will not win a playoff game. This team is a phony fraud, and you'll all see it when the game and going gets tough late in the season.
Yeah, we'll see. They got a different style this year, so it's gonna be interesting. Let's get to this next game. Colts Jets. I got it. This is an interesting one. Man, I don't know, Sean, where you're at with this, but this is a very interesting game because we know the Jets are just fishing the water. They're just dead in the water, man.
Yeah, but can Anthony Richardson get completions against the Jets on a regular basis? Is he going to make? No. Is he going to make enough throws? And that front seven's pretty damn good, and they've got some good cover people. Is he really good enough accurate to go the short? To make me 3 or 4 or 5 throws in a row that aren't broken play, throw it down the field and hope. He's a 44% completion guy. He's a talented guy, but talent doesn't get you. It'll get you an apple in a roadmap and an ass out if you're not making throws that get me 3rd and 3. The simple, ordinary throw he makes look too difficult. Talented. I don't think he can generate enough
I don't either.
Plays to even move the football enough unless the Jets blow coverage. I think the Jets defense takes care of this game.
Yeah, I don't either. The Colts defense on the run side hasn't been good. We thought they would be a lot better. They can't stop a nosebleed on defense. The Colts.
And remember, the Jets are coming off an embarrassment last week too.
I think the Jets
came off an embarrassment against New England, and then they beat the Texans with a complete game. And
Jeff, I can't bet AR5. Sorry.
I can't either. I'm sorry. I just can't.
Well, listen, I'm going to just say it. The Colts have a real problem on their hands here because we know AR5's not the guy. Joe Flacco is hideous. I watched this. I mean, what a horrific quarterback. Just brutal. Can't move at all. He's a fucking statue. Watching him last week was hard, man. And I like the Colts. I backed them a few times as an underdog. They cover a lot of games, but I think as JB alluded to, they're not great defensively. Jets are back at home here. We know they're the better team. And I don't trust IR5 or whatever his name is to go on the road and to do anything. As Sean alluded to, 44% is laughable at the NFL level. It's one of the worst probably in the history of the league.
I mean, you have to work. You have to work really hard to complete throughout the season 44% of your passes.
That's
friggin' go look at all the stuff we made about like Zach Wilson yanking balls in there. Go back and look at guys like in their first or second year, guys we looked at and said, damn, he's not accurate. And they're still like 61, 59, 60. I mean, we're talking he would have to be where the average of the league is. He would have to raise like 18 percentage points to be a 60. I mean, dude. I mean, I can fix some mechanics on a quarterback, but shit, that's infinity and beyond trying to get that. And he's so talented. He's so hell, 44% in this era. I mean, you got to add 20 points to be a guy that we even pay attention to when it comes to accuracy in that situation.
Here's a coaching insight that I just want to give out there. Sauce Gardner, I think, has sold out, and he has become a shitbird. I think he can actually get beat on a play because he's being selfish and nosy, and AR5 throws the deep ball as well as anybody. I think they can take a shot with Pittman or one of these guys, Pierce, over the top of this coverage. But on the other side, I think Devontae Adams is a late ad. He's going to come play today. Him and Garrett Wilson, I think those two, I think Aaron Rodgers will get going a little bit, and I think they'll run the football down the Colts' throat with Breece Hall. That's where I'm leading. I think the Jets win the game. The money line's a play for me.
I like it.
All right, next one, Seahawks-Niners. This is the first of the afternoon slate, Jeff. We got about 15 minutes to cover these last few games. The Seahawks-Niners, Falcons-Broncos, Chiefs-Bills, and then the night game between the Bengals-Chargers. So we're going to talk to those. We're going to start right here at the Seahawks-Niners. This is an over-under 49 plus 6 for the Seahawks. Both teams, one's 4-5 Seahawks. Niners are 5-4. The Niners kind of own Seattle without Pete Carroll. I don't know. This is an interesting one. DK Metcalf's back. Lockett. Those two guys get production. They got 3 really good receivers that will get production with Geno Smith, but the Niners seem to always turn Geno Smith over several times a year, especially in the playoffs a few years ago. Geno Smith's got to protect the fucking ball today, and they'll have a shot. If they don't, the Niners with CMC now, the second game back. Is he truly healthy or not? I don't know. But they do have a dual-headed, workhorse system back there in the backfield with Mason and CMC, and they can do a lot of things with Debo and move him around with Kittle. I like the Niners here, and the over-under 49 is an interesting one. But I like the Niners to cover 6 today.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. I get why you would do that. They have played well over the years against Seattle, but this is kind of an all-or-nothing game for Seattle. You really got to find a way to get the job done here in division. 49ers have been a great offense. We all know that. Seahawks, though, are getting healthier. Should have DK Metcalf back in this game. Reek Woolen, you would think he'd be back here soon. So throwing the fact that Seahawks are off a bye, we know their offense can move the ball. San Francisco, it always seems like they have somebody out. Not going to have Kittle today. This is kind of a throw it at the kitchen sink here for Seattle. I don't really like Mike McDonald. I don't know what I'm going to get from Mike McDonald, but something tells me off a bye they play well here. This number opened around 7. It's now down to 6, even seeing 5.5s in the market, which indicate that the sharper, bigger bets are on Seattle. I'm going to hope they can hang here and keep this close. We see the Niners play down at times competition and struggle. I think today's the day. Give me Seattle +6.
Guys, can we think about a time this year? And I am always believe the Niners are a loaded roster all the time when they're healthy, right? We know that. Have we seen a time this year when we've seen the 49ers play more than one time their full complete game this year, their best? I have not seen a lot of string. I have not seen them put together. Normally we'll see them lose a couple, and then they go on that 6 or 7 straight weeks where they're dominating everybody. And Purdy's got to – I mean, he's a good player. He's got to get back to where he's protecting the ball. I mean, I can't even remember what his numbers were in the previous week, last week. But, I hold him in high regard because he's an overachiever and he's a tough little sucker. And he when he's throwing the ball on time. I just don't see how that roster can continue to kind of where they don't have like a 37, 40-point game. I don't know if it's going to happen against Seattle. I actually like the 49ers in this one, and I don't like to continue these big spreads where you're picking teams with points, going into Tennessee if you're the Vikings, the Detroit with 14, Miami at home. I mean, there's a lot of big numbers. It feels like today. Maybe I'm wrong, Jeff, but when there's 4 or 5 like this, it feels different. Seattle's been fairly blah. And everybody has injuries, and they know they're getting healthy. I don't trust them right now. I don't, let alone and I don't really trust the 49ers with the way they're playing. But at some point in time, the 49ers are going to play a complete game. Maybe this is the day McCaffrey goes haywire. Give me the 49ers in this one. But I didn't bet my own money on it. But I think the 49ers are a touchdown better at home.
In terms of numbers, like I just don't see 6 points difference between these teams. But you're right, Sean. They really haven't played a complete game. The Eagles haven't played a complete game to me either.
Right.
I think they're both kind of.
And the Eagles are keep winning. The 49ers, they've lost to teams they really should. They've looked bad at times.
Like San Francisco's 5-4. They're not 8-2. So
right. This team's age, man, before our very eyes. I'm just telling you, the window for Super Bowls have come and gone. I'm not a Shanahan believer. I just think that this team I think that Lynch has done a hell of a job assembling a great roster, but the roster has just not produced because they've been injury riddled over the last.
I'm a believer this late in the season. Now there's a few aberrations along the way we know your identity. The 49ers don't look like a Super Bowl team this year. Super Bowl talent, but not a Super Bowl team. Just like we go through. I know who the Steelers are right now. Don't you guys? Yeah. I have a pretty good idea who the Baltimore Ravens are. I'm still not real sure who the Cincinnati Bengals are because of the way he plays, Burrow, and they just can't pull off certain wins. But for the 49ers, they've played like a 5-4 team. Injuries or not, they just have.
Yeah.
But at some point, a team that talented, Kittle or not, sans Kittle today, you would expect at some point there's going to have a fire lit under their ass to say
might not
because they're not
Trent Williams either.
Right, and they're not a safe bet to get to the playoffs just yet.
No,
okay, they're not in any safe position just yet. So there's got to be a sense of urgency in San Francisco.
Yeah, the next one is the Falcons Broncos. The Broncos started off, with a great defense. As of late, they've been actually getting exposed. Bo Nix is a rookie. He's actually been probably would exceed expectations if you ask most professional quarterback evaluators. To this point, after the Russell Wilson demise and all that, he's trying to get some guys around him. They're 5-5. This is a Falcons team that's 6-4 who shit the bed last week versus the Saints. I expect them to bounce back. I also think even though the Broncos defense is good, I think this will be over the number, which is 45, and the Falcons are +1.5. I'm taking the Falcons and the over on this one.
Yeah. By the way, JB, I guess JB's boat's leaving. What are you in a rush, JB? It's only 12:44. Relax.
What are you talking about?
What time does the yacht leave today?
It feels like he's trying to get out on the boat. He's ready to go.
No. We got a Bills Chiefs game and we have film on it, and I want to make sure we got.
Okay, no. I'm
not going nowhere. The boat's.
What time's that yacht leave? Yacht leave?
The boat's in the shop. It's out the water. I'm stuck here today. Fuck.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to disagree with you again. I cannot understand how you're going to go against Big Bone Knicks at home against another fraud team, the Falcons, who don't get to the quarterback. Defense stinks. Broncos definitely have the better defense here.
Because of the loss last week, Jeff. Sean, I'll tell you. Games
You're
matter.
a young team. I think you just move on. It sucks.
Can't lose this game, right, Sean? That's my only argument. After losing that Saints game last week, like they did, I just don't see them coming back. And
very few people thought the Saints were going to beat them. I mean, they were undermanned, all that. I know the new coach thing, but The Falcons had no business losing that game. Statistically, they still didn't. They didn't make enough plays offensively to win it.
Yeah, two teams that probably should have won their games last week, respectively. Now they're both back. You got to go out to the mountains, play in Denver. This is like I said, an Atlanta team just doesn't get to the opposing quarterback. And on the other side, I would expect Sean Payton and that defense, who is significantly better than Atlanta's, to bother Kirk Cousins a little bit. Give me Denver at home. I think this is a pretty fair number. All they have to do is essentially win. Give me Denver. I like what I've seen from Bo Nix.
And Sean, here's the issue I have with these two teams real quick before we get to the last couple games and show some film for the Bills-Chiefs game that everybody wants to see. Here's what I think. Last week, the Denver Broncos feel that they should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I think we all can agree, right? They had their soul snatched.
About 5 teams have said that this year, and they find a way to lose to Mahomes in Kansas City. It's a trip.
And my point for this matchup is Atlanta goes in and shits the bed and absolutely just doesn't show up against a shitty Saints team. The Broncos did everything they thought was right to win the game and get their soul snatched out. That is why today I think the Broncos are flat and the Falcons are high, and that is why I like the Falcons, and that's the only reason I'm giving
JB, let me ask you this. When you're in your coaching career, when you guys got your ass kicked, which may not have, but at some point in time, we've all had our ass handed to us, right?
Oh, we lost game 1 on
I remember I threw 4 picks against Seattle. I mean, I don't think I threw 4 picks in a game in my life, but every quarterback who's ever played, we hit that. You just don't want to hit the 5. You don't want 1 for the thumb. When you hit 4, it's like, yeah. So I joined the crowd of all of us. And it didn't matter what, dude. The guy could have been standing in front of me, and I'd have handed it to the. I mean, it's one of the. And then 1 gets returned for pick 6. One of those days you said I should have stayed in bed. You feel like you let your team down. You embarrass yourself. Then inevitably the next week you play your ass off, right? Because whatever. I don't know what it is. It is. But when you've had your teams embarrassed, when somebody's kicked your ass. Did you inevitably, because of the practice and the players, when you're humiliated and embarrassed, it's a strange. Now, you could be humiliated, embarrassed, and not be as talented and still get your ass kicked 4 times in a row. We see that too. Falcons are a little better than that, obviously, but embarrassment can lead you to do some different things during the week and come out and play better, right? Did that happen with your teams at all, JB, in the past?
Yes, because on Netflix, we got all eyes on us. 300 million fucking people. We get beat 70 to 30. And then we go win 10 in a row and win it all. It is what it is. Can you switch that?
And you were humiliated. Can you turn it on? Right.
Can you hit the reset button? That's
right. With that, get rid of the rear view mirror and start staring in the windshield after an ass whooping, right?
Can you hit the reset button? I don't know if the Denver Broncos can with a rookie at Q. I know a team that's a veteran-laced guy like Kirk Cousins can.
You remember back in 2007 when the Giants, the year they won the 2008 Super Bowl against the undefeated Patriots?
Yep.
You realize, remember, they started that season 0-2 and had given up a total of 80 points in the first 2 games, and they were humiliated. Then they went on. I think they were undefeated on the road, and they went on to win the Super Bowl, and the rest is history. So this is both of them. One felt good about they could have beat Kansas City. One was embarrassed. If this game was in Atlanta, this is a home, even though some may not like it, that's a hard place to play with some elevation. JB, I'm with you on the Cousins thing. I trust the veteran more than I do the rookie. But I think Denver's defense is going to get enough stops today. And it's basically a pick 'em. It's a field goal. I'm going to take the Denver in this one. I have not picked Denver enough this year. I like Atlanta's offense, but I think Denver's defense is going to get a stop or 2. I think the Denver barely.
Yeah, I'm going to take Atlanta in this one, plus the over. As crazy as it sounds, I think Atlanta gets going. I think Denver actually scores more points than we expect. So that's the play on that one.
Yeah, Bo Nix has got some potential, man. He's going to do he's doing some decent things, man.
Yeah. Let's skip the game we're going to show the film on and go straight to the Bengals-Chargers, which is the night game, 5:20. This is over under 48.5, Jeff, and the spread is +1. Cincinnati's +1. Very interesting game. I don't know if Jeff would call this a pick-em game or what. Bengals can score, but they seem to have not stopped anybody. The Chargers have the number 1 ranked defense in all of football. They're playing as well as you can play with a team that's still figuring itself out with a first-year head coach who's coming from college, winning the Natty. He's gotten Herbert really, really under control. They run the football, and they play great defense, and they don't turn it over. All the things you have to do to win games that are close. This game I expect to probably be close, Jeff, because I think the Bengals, by winning, up their shot at getting into the playoffs, even though they're 4-6. They have to win this game. All things, probably money is on the Bengals. I'm going to roll with the Chargers on this one. But I am going to roll, even though they're the number one defense. I'm going to roll with the over on this. I think the Chargers score points, and I think the Bengals score points. And I'm going to go with the over 48.5 on this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cincy here, and for two reasons. Look, I love the Chargers. I love what Harbaugh's doing there, kind of old school football. I like it. But I think this defense a little, I'm not going to say fraudulent, but now you're going to play a real quarterback. And look, let's just be honest. They played one elite quarterback and then a pretty good quarterback. Kyler Murray beat them, and Patrick Mahomes beat them. The two step-up games against better quarterbacks, every other game they have played Will Levis, Jameis Winston, Spencer Rattler. I mean, who were the Steelers starting out there? Justin Fields. I mean, just dreadful stuff. A rookie in Bo Nick. So I got to really question how good this defense is. And now you're going to play a real team who can move the football. They have plenty of weapons. My issue, though, with the Bengals is that defense. But I think they can bow their heads a little bit. I'm going to hope that Lou Anarumo can make some adjustments and they can get a couple of stops against a good rushing offense. We know Justin Herbert is good. We don't know that he's great. I like the Bengals. I think they beat up a Charger defense. I think it's a little.
I love your insight. I love that take. It makes perfect sense. I get it. I do. I think this Bengal team, man, just figures out ways, Sean, every week to lose the fucking game.
Right. Here's what I think about real quick about this one. I think the Chargers are going to do what they do, and Harbaugh is going to try to shorten the game and run it because you don't want Burrow to get the ball. It's really that simple because when the ball's not in his hands, Cincinnati doesn't do much.
I think Cincinnati's got their full complement of weapons.
Yeah,
finally.
see, for me, I'm taking Cincinnati on the road. They're desperate usually isn't a good thing, but urgency is. I actually think that there's a sense of urgency. They have to. They lose this, I don't see how they get in. And the Chargers are playing solid. They run it well. The quarterback, it's amazing how Herbert, they don't have to throw it 30 times to win. They may today, though. So by playing that run it and keep it the Jim Harbaugh philosophy, it's going to take more points for them to win today because I don't really care about their defense. Burrow will move the football. He always does. I'm going to say a desperate and urgent Cincinnati team makes this and Joe Burrow loves this type of stuff. They're the only game in town tonight. I got Burrow. I think it's a close one. Give me Cincinnati to beat the Chargers on the road.
Wow, both of you guys, huh? I'm going to roll Chargers, man. I think when you find ways to lose games against a guy that knows how to win games, I think that's a bad recipe for Cincinnati. I think the Chargers pull it out. So
stick a fork in the Bengals if they lose this game for this year.
Yeah, no doubt.
Fork.
No doubt. Let's get to the game of the week that everyone thinks will be the game of the week. That everyone's picking. The money is anyway. Expecting the Bills to up in finally and beat the Chiefs, who everyone says, well, they can't go undefeated. Well, they keep fucking doing it. This is in Buffalo, obviously. Finally, the Chiefs have to go on the road. An over under 46.5, and the Chiefs are plus 2.5 on the road. Road dogs for the first time. Where are you at with this, Jeff? As we're going to break this film down as you talk about it, and let's show the film, Bailey, as Jeff breaks this game down. We'll talk about the Chiefs on offense first, Jeff, if you will.
Well, listen, I'll just say this now. There are games that I like. There are games that I really like. There are very few games that I love. We have one here. Look, I know I'm going to get shit for what I'm about to say, but I mean, I know they haven't. But Sean, JB, the Chiefs could literally have lost 5 or 6 games at this point. Like they literally could have lost a bunch of games. I know they haven't, but they're just bang on average. They just are. They do have Andy Reid, though, and that's a great thing to have. They have Mahomes, who's been pretty average. They have an offensive line who has given up a lot of sacks, and they have nowhere to go at left tackle. Is it Kingsley Suamata? Is it Wanya Morris? Who the hell is going to play left tackle for this team? I know they don't have many weapons. Now you're going to go on the road, play Josh Allen. You have a team who is circling the drain and should have lost a couple of times but haven't. This is a team that was down to the Raiders. This is an underdog. The whole world's going to be on the Chiefs today. Give me Buffalo. Give me Josh Allen. Give me the Bills. Minus 2.5.
Think about it. It seems like every game we watch, the Chiefs are at home right? I mean, it doesn't feel like they have like 14 home games. Now they get to go and get a little bit of what they're used to getting. They're going to get at home. that comes in late, the crowd advantage, and that's a great Kansas City crowd. Buffalo's fans are as good as there is in football. The one, you know what I'm saying? It is. That is a friggin' great place. And this is a hell of a quarterback matchup. And as good as the Chiefs are, and I always say good teams, JB, you said it, good teams win ugly. They do throughout the course of a year. But at some point, you can't. I don't believe you can keep hanging on like that, especially when you play against a guy. You put the ball in his hand. If you remember the greatest game you've ever seen Josh Allen have, and he's had a lot of them, when he went into Kansas City and loaded them on his back. If they could have got one stop, we may even be speaking different. But the Kansas City Chiefs are special. Andy Reid's as good as there is at doing what he does every week, calling plays. But I'm taking Buffalo too at home. I think the one or two mistakes that Kansas City's been able to overcome, the dude with the ball in his hand on the other team can destroy you with his legs and his arm. I got Buffalo tonight and getting that one extra stop. It'll be close, but give me Buffalo with this win, maybe 3-4 points. I like Buffalo at home tonight. And then the conversation, because I don't think the Chiefs are going undefeated anyway, even if they win this game. I think it stops tonight, and these two will probably see each other again in the postseason, or should.
Let me ask you,
can this defense for the Bills show up, Jeff and Sean? That's my thing.
Well, of course they can. They're only giving up 19 points a game. They're right there. I mean, the Chiefs are slightly better.
Well, how many times has the Chiefs offense dominated a game this year where we looks like MVP? Now, they're great at winning. Their defense is what's carried them along a lot the last year and a half.
The only game this year in the 9 wins they have, the only game City Chiefs, they're winning because they find ways. Last week was just another one of them. I mean, that was an insane way to win a game. And I know they're 9-0, and I look stupid fading them here, but I just don't think they're that good a football team. I don't. Sorry. Give me the Bills. They're the better offense to me. I think they're right there defensively, and they're at home. I'm going to lay 2.5, and I agree. They get the stop that matters late.
Yeah, the Kareem Hunt's now their lead feature. They're going to get Pacheco back next week, not this game. And I think that Rashee Rice being out, the addition of Hopkins, sprinkling Worthy around in there, I don't know if it will be enough. I don't know if there's enough continuity yet between Hopkins and Mahomes to make Kelsey better. Sean knows what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if we're going to spread the ball around and get Kelsey open. But I would expect Kelsey to get a 10-target type of day and have a heavy workload today because I believe that they'll focus on Hopkins today. And then and you can see a Hardman or Xavier Worthy get a big play that'll keep them in the game. But I think the Bills and Josh Allen will be too much, even though the Chiefs' defense is unbelievable and Spagnuolo is the best in the business.
There's a guy saying that the whole world's against the Chiefs. Who's against the Chiefs? They're getting literally all the money. Everybody's betting the Chiefs as an underdog. They can't lose, according to most people, as an underdog.
And they're just good enough to, even when they're not playing well, they're just the quarterback and the head coach are good enough to keep them in every game. And when they're playing great, they beat you. And Spagnuolo's defense is the way he's such a big clutch, big game guy. Let me just ask you guys this, and my head's going to explode. If I see anybody else give Kelsey a free run off the line of scrimmage, I don't understand it. I continue to see it. Why are we giving him cushion? Why do I get cushion at the 5-yard line with him? Why am I getting cushion on 3rd and 4? I get it, but you got to have somebody that's hybrid enough, that's physical enough to at least take him off his mark. And I know Mahomes is great off schedule, but I still don't get it. I can deploy a defense any way I want, but pressing him off the line of scrimmage and getting physical with him, at least disrupting that a little bit. If you give him freeway, and Buffalo did this, they sure shit better have learned their lesson when that game I'm talking about, when Allen and Mahomes went back and forth, 2 years ago, whatever it was. And at the end, what were they giving him on that little bender that they threw to him or seam route at the end of the game to get down in field goal range? You gave him cushion. Put somebody in the line of scrimmage and maul his ass. He's really good. Don't make it easier on him. They get it. They're good enough without you making it easy on Kelsey to get a free release. Motion or not, you got to take him off his mark.
And Amari Cooper's back. I think Shakir is a big-time DFS player. If you want to play a DFS pick today, take Shakir for the Bills. I think he's big with Amari back in the lineup, and I think they'll run the football with Cook heavy. That's my pick. I'm taking the Bills as well. All three of us took the Bills. We could all be wrong because Mahomes and Andy Reid still continue to find ways to win the game. That is what it is. Tomorrow's game, real quick. Monday night, everything's off the books. You guys got your picks in, I hope. Head on over to BetUS today. Use the promo code CoachJB. Tomorrow game, Battle of Texas, Sean. The Texans and the Cowboys, both teams probably on the descending side of things. The Texans trying to figure out how to get a win after losing 2 in a row to the Jets, and last week's game that we thought had a shot at winning, they lose that as well. Today, tomorrow night though, the Cowboys with no Dak. Cooper Rush looked bad last week. They can't run the football.
For 34, 35 yards. This team, if you this was rock bottom in 2024. If you lose tonight or tomorrow night, it's rock bottom for the Texans in 2024. This will be you can't even, if you play average right now, you're beating the Dallas Cowboys. And in their building, they can't stop squat in 2024. Wow. People are hanging 30 and 40 and sometimes 50 on them. After the Texans' second half, I expect them to be focused. A lot of mixing and a lot of play action. Give me the Texans on the road. I think the Cowboys could contend as one of the worst teams in the league, bottom 3, bottom 4 teams right now.
When Jeff said the Raiders earlier, I'm like, I think the Cowboys take the paper on this one because I think they got a bad nucleus on top of a bad roster.
I think the current Cowboy team with Cooper Rush at quarterback is probably the worst. Here's where I'd go, guys. What Sean just said is where I'd go. I mean, Texans team total over 24.5. The Cowboys cannot stop anybody in that building. It also will be nighttime, so we don't have to worry about that ridiculous. But by the way, the sun thing, like, does Jerry Jones not realize that that's a problem?
Well, Jerry, you know what he said? He said, we know how to call our we have an advantage. And I laughed about this. We have an advantage about play calling because we know when the sun's coming in. Well, guess what? All I got to do is check the fucking weather report and when the sun sets. If as a visiting team, it's 5:18, it'll be in your face. Oh, what advantage is that? What happens if the Cowboys are on offense like they were?
No, and that's what I don't understand.
There's no advantage. Put some curtains there or one of those shades that we have in our backyards. You hit a button.
They did it for the Tyson fight.
Just for about 30 minutes. Yeah, for about 30 minutes.
The Tyson fight was at night.
No advantage. It is no friggin' advantage. It's dumb.
For $1 billion building, it's stupid. It makes
add an extra $500,000 on and put a screen in there for about 30 minutes at night when the sun's shining. It's no advantage for the Cowboys.
Hey,
they need every advantage they can, and that's not one of them. They should get their ass kicked today.
Yeah,
tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans. Listen, here's my take before Jeff ends it. Jake Paul is 1-0 in that stadium this year. The Cowboys are 0-4.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the difference is Jake. Yeah, and God love Jake Paul. One was an exhibition. This is a regular season game. Okay. 14-ounce gloves, and Mike didn't throw a punch from round 3 on. It was like, don't.
Yeah, I don't think we talk enough about the 14-ounce glove. That's like getting hit with a beach ball. I mean, that's insane.
It's a friggin' pillow fight. No,
yeah, that's insane.
I love Mike, but
guys,
I got that many punches, right?
I got to jump off. My favorite play today, it's about to start. Green Bay. I like Green Bay. I also like this 4:00 card. I think the Bills I really like, and I like Denver. Thanks, guys, for having me. I'll see you guys next week.
Jeff. Appreciate you, brother. JB, real quick for me, I'm going to take a big flyer on one of these about my lock, and I know it's probably just for fun today. I am taking Detroit, and I'm giving away all those 2 touchdowns. I'm taking Detroit still
to cover 14.
You damn right. After what I saw last week, even though they won.
After the 5-pick game, Jacksonville can't defend the pass.
And people are, you're looking over your shoulder about your job, all that stuff. And Dan Campbell's he's got that team knowing. I think that Detroit's going to go haywire today.
I do too, man. Damn. Pittsburgh game's already on. That's a big-time game to start the morning. It's 80 degrees in Miami. My lock's going to be Miami.
I like that. And that would be my second one, JB. And if you said, Sean, you want to bet 25, $50, $100 at Miami scores more than 5 touchdowns today, I would take the over.
Hey, I took the Pittsburgh defense on my DFS today, and they already caused a fumble and got a fumble from Derek.
There you go. No shock there. That we talked about defense being the difference, and they're getting one extra stop in this game.
Patrick Queen, baby, right there. Gets the ball. Brother. Hey, Sean, it's always great. Have a good week.
You too, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Head on over to Sean's iHeartRadio this week, every single morning on the Sean Salisbury Show. Go check him out over there, and then we'll see you next week, man.
Love you, brother. Thank you.
All right, brother. Love you. Peace.
The last chance cube. Let's go.
And I just cannot wait to bring over 60 years of knowledge and experience to not only the novice football fan, Sean, but to the veteran football coach as well.
You love it. You better live it. drink it, eat it, smoke it, and then every now and again wake up with it laying next to you.
The premier football